Hello, and welcome to my dining room. This is episode 32 of the Live and Learn Knitting Podcast. My name is Anne or Annie, and I am coming to you from the banks of the Mississippi River in western Wisconsin. And today is Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. We will do a year in review today, and I will try to be brief. I recorded this once already, and it ran over, and I babbled, so I'll try not to babble. It'll be a challenge. Okay, so I hope you all had a good holiday. I spent a day with my brother, and we played a board game that takes hours and hours to play. And we had a good meal and good conversation and chit chat. You know, it was fun. Did a little gift exchange. It was nice. And then I had a nice quiet Christmas day here with the cats and old movies and a lot of knitting. And yeah, that was nice too. And here comes George to say hi. Maybe. There's a tail. We're not going to let George do too much mischief, I hope. Okay, so just jump right in. And also right before Christmas, Lauren brought her buttons with her, and I sewed the buttons on. We kind of decided how they should go and everything. And I got some really good photos of her wearing the red sweater that I finished, and I will put those on the blog probably, so you can see them. And on my Ravelry project page, but that's not updated just yet. So yeah, I was really pleased with how that turned out. It was very nice. And I'm watching my George over there. So yeah, that was very good. And she was cold when she got here, and she put the sweater on, and she was, I'm getting warm. I'm just going to keep it on and not take it off. So yeah, that was nice. Okay, just jump right in. Have notes. What I'm wearing. This is potentially the last finished object for 2024. It is the DRK Everyday Cowl by Andrea Mowry, Drea Renee Knits. And it is that shape that's like home base. So, I had the pattern here. What happened to it? Yep. Okay, I was organized. So, yeah, shaped like home base. This, I started with, I will take it off and show it to you. Take that off too. So, this is the main yarn. It's this color shifting yarn. I don't know the name of it. It was something I found either in the stash cart at Yarnology, or we had a yarn swap in one of my knitting groups. I don't know if it came from that. But it's a beefier sock yarn. It's not DK, but it's a little heftier. So I should have actually probably used it for socks. Because I like a beefier sock yarn. But it was sitting upstairs. I never put it away because I wasn't quite sure where to put it, what to do with it, what to call it. So it kept sitting out in the open, and I saw it, and I thought, well, why don't I just make something with it already? And I thought, well, I can start and finish this cowl really fast. I forget when I started it. I want to say just sometime last month, like maybe Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, which wasn't all that long ago. I think that's when I started it. And, you know, you're going great guns here because you start little and you get bigger and bigger. And so, since this is fingering and her pattern is for DK, I was just using her schematic here. I mean, I used her start method, but then I knit to the dimensions of the schematic rather than what her the stitch number and row number that she had in the pattern. And that worked fine because I measured this, this, you're going this direction, and so, but this is the measurement that you need to be aware of, the neck opening. So when that got to be where I wanted it, then I started doing the decreasing. And sadly, I ran out of this yarn. I thought I would have plenty because I expected this to be a bit smaller. Excuse me, similar to those Empower People bandana cowls that I had made. I'd made 3 of those, and they all took about 50-ish grams of yarn, and this was 88 grams. So I thought, yeah, it'll be fine. No, I ran out of yarn because this is bigger. And knitting it for the first time, I wasn't really sure how to make it smaller, I guess, and still maintain this neck opening. At any rate, I found some fingering weight in this peach that I thought it kind of goes. I mean, it's not, I wish it was maybe a different value, but it's okay. And I actually had to add some Malabrigo Silk Pack Lace, I think is what theirs is called, the lace weight yarn, to make it be the same thickness as this sock yarn was, or as this fingering was. And then the same thing here, this was a burgundy or a brownish mini skein, because yeah, I ran out of this too. These were minis, and that also needed beefing up with a bit of, you can kind of see some colors, some tweediness in there. It was a coned yarn that I have that is really a weaving yarn. It's very fine, and it does some, has some tweedy bits to it. So added that on, and I thought, well, this is the measurement. Let me show this side. This is the measurement that I need to, you know, that's the length, like that. I thought, gosh, that's awfully long. I wish I would have, you know, not made that as long. And seen, you know, experimented. George is talking to somebody outside. So, but I had to, you know, carry on. So I was looking on Ravelry before I added this extra to see how other people, you know, if they had done color blocks, how that looked. Did that look okay? And I saw some examples and it was fine. But I also saw someone's notes who said they didn't sew the whole back seam completely. They left an opening, and I think they left it at the neck edge because they didn't want it tight up against their neck. They wanted it maybe to drop open more at the neck top. And I thought, oh, that's a possibility, because what happened was I was running out of this burgundy and I didn't want to add another color, and this was last night. You know, I wanted to finish it yesterday so I could talk about it today and just get it over with. And I didn't want to go look for another yarn and root around, and I don't know if I would have found anything to go after this. You know, it would have probably had to be a dark brown like that maybe. And I have gray, but I don't think I wanted to introduce gray. So I just thought, I'm done. I'm just done. So I actually ended up like this much short, you know, of to sew this all together and make it match. I thought, that's no big deal. And I will follow what the person said, and I didn't sew it up all the way in the back. I just sewed as much as I thought would be a good back and neck bulk for me, and that really worked out fine, because I think if I had sewn it all the way up, then this would maybe, you know, roll up, curl up a bit. As it is now, it lays out flat, and I like that better. It's fine against my neck. It's not too tight, and it doesn't, I'll turn around, and I don't know what the back of that looks like, so we'll both see it together. So can you see if that's laying? It lays out a little bit. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes some sense. Okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, I like it. I'm pleased with it. I'm glad I used up some stash yarn. And it's always nice when the colors, when you can kind of combine some. It's tricky to combine different yarns, especially if you don't know what they are, and have it come out okay. So I think it came out okay. And it's nice and warm, and I can also, do this, and I think it'll stay up for the most part if I need to. And I do need to, because we're going to go and knit in a little bit outside today, because we are intrepid knitters and it's New Year's Eve. So that's a finished object. The other one that I just finished is this. This is not my idea. If you saw my Instagram, I put this, I borrowed this from someone else, but look at that. Isn't that fun? It's just an LED light string, and I knit it on size 19 US needles. I don't know what that converts to in metric. And then I slipped it onto these wooden needles, because those needles were plastic. And so I think this wooden needle, which I am not ever going to use for knitting, probably a project, just looks really charming. And I have this hanging on the wall in the reading room right now, and I will take it upstairs probably and hang it up there in the workroom. So that was another finished object. Didn't take long to make it, and I'm glad it turned out as nice as it did. Knitting with wire, that's why I wanted to use the biggest needles I had, or the appropriate for that, because yeah, it's tricky. I don't know how people knit those lace wire earrings and that. It's not easy. So, back to the cowl, sorry, jumping around a bit. Yeah, since I ran out of yarn and I had to add yarn, I had not quite enough yarn. And that is actually the name of a podcast that I found, new to me podcast. I think she's been podcasting for several years now. Not enough yarn, not quite enough yarn. Leslie, and she is in the south of England, and I should have watched the latest episode and then went back and saw the early ones, but no, I just went back to start from the beginning. And so that's where I'm at. And the first one I just laughed through, because she's got some subtle humor in there, and kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff. It was good, something good to knit to. And she called it not quite enough yarn because she, like so many of us, we buy our yarn maybe with not an intention or a purpose. We just buy it because it's pretty, or it's on sale, or something, and we'll figure it out later. So when she's been making projects, she does not have quite enough yarn, so she has to adapt. And we'll put in stripes, we'll do color blocks, we'll do other things so that she can make her project. And that's very interesting, and that is, always a good thing to think about. And to be adaptable like that. Very good. So that was, yes, the cowl and the podcast. Then there is also another new podcast that came up just this last week, I believe, from Gudrun Johnston. And if you know her, she is the Shetland trader, and she has got so many lovely Fair Isle designs. She was born in Shetland, and then her family moved to the States. She's still here in the States, but she realized that she is, had knitting in her blood, and so got into knitting, and she does, amazing Fair Isle designs. And she is the representative for Jameson's or Jameson Smith. I don't know which one. But she told it in the podcast. She's their U.S. representative, which is exciting. And I can't wait to see more episodes and see what all she has to talk about. She's not new to YouTube. She has video tutorials, technique tutorials, and I'm going to go back and watch some of those. Hopefully I'll find some that I can add to, you know, my queue of good, helpful tutorials, because there are some I go back to time and time again. How do you do this again? How do you do German short rows again? When I haven't done them for a while. So, yeah. So that was exciting to see that. Exciting. The life of a knitter. That's exciting. And then one other video that I want to link to is a kind of a mini documentary on fast fashion and how that came about. I'm trying to remember how far back she goes. 70s, 80s, 80s for sure. And then, you know, when things were still produced a certain way, and then the manufacturing process changed, shifted, why that happened, what's happening now, why it's not good, and what we can do about that. And or be mindful of what to expect, look for when you're shopping for clothing. And of course that transfers into yarn as well, I believe. So yeah, so it was a very good documentary. I am not sure. I need to look up who this person is and see what else they have on YouTube, what else they're talking about, where they, because I saw it, watched it, but I don't really know who they are. But it's worth watching. Okay. I will talk next, just briefly, about some books. I think this is going faster than last time. And I'm sorry if my speech is rushing. That's not my intent. I just wanted to cut out some of the blather when I got off track. So, okay. This last weekend I was able to bake some bread, which I haven't done since January, which is, I like to bake bread. And what I do is I put it in the bread machine, all the ingredients, and let that machine do all the dough kneading and that, and then I take it out and raise it and put it in a pan or shape it and raise it again. So it looks like a traditional loaf. So I start, though, this time, I have this book that is old. It's from 1996, 95, called The Bread Machine Baker. And I want to just tell you why I like this book. It's a good jumping off point for me because the ingredients are basic. You know, it's interesting how we keep developing. And like if you look at a bread recipes in a conventional cookbook from the 50s or 60s, they're, well, 50s, let's go. Way back. You know, they're pretty conventional. White, wheat, rye, graham, and plain, you know, and maybe then some, and then sweet rolls and that kind of thing. And nowadays, you know, you've got how to make a baguette, how to make a focaccia, how to make all of these different ethnic breads, and that's great. And I have made some and enjoyed that process. It's so interesting how that all evolves. But this book is pretty standard in its recipes, which I like as a jumping off point. And why I like it is because the quantity is small. It makes a smaller loaf. And she does have, you know, variations. She's got a barley bread, a sunflower seed bread. You know, it's definitely, because otherwise it wouldn't be much of a book if you didn't have variations. I'm just not sure how authentic some of them are. Like when she talks about French bread, the French bread recipe is same ingredients as the white bread conventional recipe, except the quantities are adjusted just a little bit. And I thought, is that really a traditional French bread? I don't know. But yeah, the quantity, the volume that this bread recipes make are good for me because I can just do a small loaf and enjoy it. And I actually made, I cut my dough into portions, and I made a larger loaf and 2 smaller loaves that I could share with people. That's always good. So, and I have other bread machine books too, but that one I just happened to pull off the shelf on Saturday and was able to pick out a recipe that used some cream cheese, and I had to use that up anyway, and I thought, okay, this will work, and it did. Pleasant. And then I finished my Dickens. I only read the first of the 5 Dickens Christmas novels. I read A Christmas Carol, and then I ran out of steam for Christmas stuff, so we'll do the rest in the future. But I thought, well, okay, what do I want to read now? And how about I'm looking at my bookshelves, and well, how about a cozy mystery? Okay, so I saw this title on my, I'm sorry you can't see that very well with the shine, but it's Nancy Livingston. It says A Quiet Murder. Quiet Murder. And it's a used book that I got at a library book sale. Well, that looks like a fast read and a cozy mystery, and I don't know this author, so is this the first one? Look on Fantastic Fiction. No, this is the last one in the series. I can't start at the end. So I went online, and for under $8, I think this was like 6 something. I got this copy of The Trouble at Aquitaine, which is the first in the series. And look what it says, a mystery set in a health clinic on the Yorkshire moors. Wow. So, and the sleuth's name is former tax inspector Mr. Pringle. So he's not even a police person, really. He's a tax inspector. He's an ordinary guy. So we'll see what this is like. I'm hoping it'll be good, and then I can find the other books in the series and carry on with that. So those are my books, recommendations, I guess, for now. Not that I'm not even recommending that because I haven't read it yet. It might be boring and dry and weird, but I'm hoping it's good. We'll see. I'll let you know. So that is that, and we'll get onward now with the year-end tally, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because those can be kind of dry and dull. But it was interesting to look and see what I did because it wasn't a whole lot. Why? I just don't know. It felt like I was knitting all the time. But apparently, I only used up just over 9 pounds of yarn. And last year I used just under 9 pounds of yarn. And it was actually going along until I finished this project. It was going to be the lowest amount of yarn used since I started recording, which was maybe 15 years now. And I thought, wow, what the heck was I doing? I think what I was doing was starting projects and not finishing them. That's probably part of it. Anyway, I have my tally here, and I did finish 3 sweaters. The red sweater for Lauren, the Summer Rain Gentle Tea pullover from Telly Bean Knits. That was a test knit. That was really enjoyable. And then this sweater. This, this brown one. And sorry, it's wrinkled. I just pulled it out of the drawer. This was a top-down raglan, sort of a sweatshirty type. Very comfortable. I've worn it a lot. I'm glad I finished it because yarn was old in stash. It was Debbie Bliss Cotton Denim Aran. And if you remember from the episode when I talked about it, don't remember which one that was, I made these sleeves very short, or 3/4 length, because I was running out of yarn, and I was doing like a little bit on the bottoms and a little bit on the sleeves, just to make sure everything was, you know, had as much yarn eked out as I possibly could. Well, for a long time, this project lived on the staircase going upstairs, and it got moved around a few times, and it was an open box with all the balls of yarn in it. And in fact, I think I even took the swatch apart and used that because I was running so short of yarn. And I'd go and I'd look, it's like, is this really all I have? And I'd look and well, these steps where this was sitting, you know, going up to the work area, the studio, if you want to be fancy, they're usually always piled up with stuff. And so I know I looked many times and thought, well, okay, this is it. And made the sweater and liked it. And on my birthday, when I was deciding, okay, I'm going to clean up upstairs and organize and spend a day having fun, I thought, well, I'll take some of this stuff off the steps. Every time I go upstairs, I'll take stuff from the steps and take it up there. And I'd been doing that for a while. You know, God, there's a lot of stuff on those steps. They do get cleared off from time to time, completely. Just not right now. So I was doing that, and lo and behold, I found 2 more balls of yarn. And I weighed this. This is 47 grams. That's almost a full ball of yarn. So I will be in 2025. I'm not calling this is done. This goes on my tally, but next year I'm going to be taking the garter cuff off of the sleeves and adding length to each sleeve and using this up. And I promise I won't count it twice. I won't count it in next year's. But gee, I don't know why I couldn't find those balls of yarn when I needed them. Live and learn, I guess. Yes. Clean up your messes. Get more organized. So, 3 sweaters, 6 cowls. Here's one of them. 5 swatches, and I count swatches because some of these were made just for the sake of making a swatch to see what the yarn would do. I got a sample yarn from Yarnology. It was a Barocco, I'm not going to remember the name of the yarn, but it was a Barocco color shifting yarn that was a new yarn. And Yarnology gave me their sample ball, and I was knitting that up to see how it worked. And actually that one didn't get finished, but that was the only point of that. It wasn't going to be anything. So I do knit swatches just for fun. And I display them in the coffee table, and yes, so they're legit. So 2 caps, which I thought I had made more caps. 1 pair of mitts, which was the gift for Ava from a previous episode. Only 1 pair of socks, which surprised me. And that was that campground sock that I made. The one, and that was, well, and then, okay, 197 cat toys. And I want to make 3 more today so that I can have an even 200 for the year, which is really low because I'd like to try and make 1 every day, or, you know, make 8 on a Sunday or 7 on a Sunday, something like that, you know, on the weekend, catch up. So that I can have, you know, say I made 1 every day. And so I'm way short of that goal. So, yeah, cat toys. That's just not a lot of things. And then in crochet, I only made that 1 little soap sack that I talked about in a previous episode. And in sewing, I only made the 1 little zip velvet bag that I showed. So I really didn't get much done this year, and I don't know why. I don't know. But I'm going to change my ways. I hope. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to try harder in a mindful way. Let's say that. So yeah, my goals for next year are, and I looked back because I did an episode like this at the end of last year, and I did say what my knitting goals would be, and they were to continue knitting from stash and reevaluate and reorganize, to write up a few patterns. Well, I wrote one, and it was really written. I just had to edit it and format it. To work on other projects, sewing, weaving, etc. Clean out the stash. Yeah. And of course the goal is also to not buy yarn. Well, I did buy yarn 3 occasions that I can recall where I had splurges. One was in April when we went to the Utopia Fiber Mill and we had the tour, and I know I bought 2 sweater quantities worth of yarn that day, at least. And then I bought some kits and some oddballs, or not oddballs, but you know, oh, this looks nice, that looks nice, without a project in mind. And then in June or July, when Yarn Cakes, the yarn shop in West Salem, closed for good, and she was having her sale, I resisted that sale for a long time, and because I just didn't need it. But then I was kind of remembering some of the yarns she had there, you know, and I thought, oh, and I actually did wait too long on some of them because they were gone. But yeah, I went the very last when she said, okay, this is it. This is the last few days. I'm done at the end of the week. I did go. And I bought at least a sweater quantity's worth of yarn there. Sweaters quantity. At least one. And then, yeah, other, like, maybe 3 different colors of a yarn to make a stranded colorwork something or other. Don't know what yet. So that was the second big one. And then the third one was when Knit Picks had their sale just last month, was it? And it was 30% off everything. And I have a whole bunch of palette that was gifted to me. And, excuse me, it's nice, and I like to use it for color work, but I don't have all the colors. So I bought some more palette in some of the colorways that I didn't have, just to kind of, yeah, grow that collection a bit. So I did buy more yarn than I knit up. That's not the goal. I'm going to try harder next year. It wasn't too difficult this year, so maybe it'll be even easier next year. We'll see. We'll see. It's hard when you see all the new yarns and pretty things, and yeah. But I have more intention this year. One thing, buy local, so that means buy from Utopia, because that's as local gets for me. Well, there's also the alpaca farm. That's another, I don't know, 45 minutes or so north of here. So, you know, buy local and use that. But I don't really need to buy it at all. But if I want to be supportive, yeah, do that. And, you know, if it's something that I don't have the yarn for, maybe I don't need to make it. And if I do need to make it and buy the yarn, yeah, have that kind of a criteria first. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful. And also destash more. Just, you know, in one way or another. Donate it, sell it, give it to friends. Yeah, there are ways. There are ways. And I did some of that this year too. I did. Oh, that was the other way I got yarn and got rid of yarn. We had a swap in May, I think it was. May or June. with one of the groups that I'm involved with, and that was nice. So there. Oh, and then the local library had asked for yarn and craft items and that, and they were doing a swap. So I took things and then I didn't go on the swap day. So yeah, there was outflow and no inflow. So that was good. So those goals are, they carry forward to the next year, yet to 2025. Knit down stash, definitely. Finish what I've started is a big one for me. I've really started to feel like this project was very old. I had started it a while back, and it didn't take long to finish it. So, start things that are finished, because I did enjoy. There's very few projects that I have started that I go, oh, no, this isn't worth it. Rip it out, or cut the yarn and throw it out. Most of the things, oh, sorry, I bumped the table. Most of the things I still want to make, I still want to finish. So why don't I do it? I will. And that's a goal for tonight. I might, like I said, this is potentially the last finished object besides the 3 cat toys that I want to make. Because I could sit down and finish. I pulled out a couple things that are potential finishers. I don't know if you remember this baby sock from the sock episode. Can't remember. Oh, that was episode 10. Yeah, I had the first one done, and I have the second one started. Now this is fingering weight, and I just spent a bunch of time trying to finish fingering weight, and by the end I was really pushing myself, and I wasn't having much fun anymore. So I'm not sure I want to try to push myself on fingering weight tonight, but it's a baby sock. It's small. That could happen. More than likely, though, this is what I will try to finish tonight. This is the Flicker and Flame hat from Drea Renee Knits, Andrea Mowry, and I am using Peyton's Classic Merino. This is the Harvest Gold colorway, and this is Regency, maybe? Variegated. So the variegated's making a kind of a fun pattern there. And color work goes faster because you just want to see what happens next. And I know I'm into the repeat on this is only 3 of these. Bump, bump, bump. So I'm just about finished with the second one. I'm going to start the third one. So there's a little bit more, and then the decreases start. So I think I could get this done tonight, which will be nice to add just a little bit more to the finish objects. I will cast on tomorrow because I do give myself the New Year's. It's New Year's, you can start a project, and I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to start, because in Gudrun Johnston's podcast, she showed her newest pattern release, which is the Riggy Cowl, and she's got a Riggy sweater and I think a Riggy hat. Riggy is ridges in Shetland. Is it in that language? And she explains it better than I am, believe me. So it's a garter stitch pattern, and it's a garter stitch bandana shaped or triangle shaped cowl that's joined at the back, seamed with 3 needle bind off. So it'd be a good stash buster. It's a worsted weight yarn or a chunky yarn maybe. It looked bigger. I've got the pattern. I'll have to study it and go find some yarn. So yeah, I will start a pattern, probably that one. But I will also work on finishing up some projects. And yes, Kathy, I will also start your sweater. I saw my friend Kathy again, and I told her I'd make that sweater for her, that one I wore at Christmas last year. And I have the yarn, and haven't gotten going on it. So that is another thing I will start. But otherwise, it's going to be finish, finish, finish. Because boy, do I have a lot of things to finish. And fun things to talk about in the future when I do get them done. And you know I don't like to talk about works in progress too much and just, you know, show them time after time. Because this is from a year ago. You know, we could be here for forever if I went through all of my works in progress and said, look, I knit 2 rows on this. I mean, you know, ugh, no. So yeah, finished projects. All right, that's it for this year. This is much shorter. It's good. I mean, it's still, it's much better. I cut out all the blah. So I hope you have a great new year. I am looking forward to it. We're going to have a positive attitude. Whatever comes our way, we can handle it because we are knitters, we are makers, we're creative people, and yeah, we can do whatever we set our mind to, right? Right. I'm going to stop before I say something stupid. Okay? Because it could happen. All right. We will talk to you in the new year with new projects. And I hope you all are well. Thank you. Bye-bye.